Well, hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator video. And today I'm undertaking a challenge which I've been wanting to do for a little while, and that is to see whether or not I can fly to the North Pole. So after a little bit of research to see which airport I could potentially take off from using the fly-by-wire A320 or even the A321 ideally, but we're going to stick with the A320, I've decided to go with Svalbard Airport, Longyear Airport in Svalbard, Norway. This airport here you can see on the screen right now. So that's the plan. We're going to basically manually fly. I'm going to manually input it into the flight control, into the McDo, into the system. I'm not going to use air traffic control. Did once I could potentially use Priority C. I can flight plan it in SimBrief and then transfer it into Priority C, but to be honest, it's not really worth it. So we are here at Longyear Airport. Let's see how we get on. Welcome on board. So here we are at Longyear Airport. I'm just going to get the aeroplane sorted out. Let's just get it organised and see what happens, shall we? It's going to be a few minutes, I think, to get the IRS aligned, so we'll see how we get on. When the humanitarian air service aeroplane today, United Nations. I don't really know what other plane to fly up here, really. That's the wrong thing. So let's see. The stairs coming. The stairs are coming. The PU's coming. Excellent. Excellent. Right. Let's get. I don't want to do. Let's get organised. Okay. So we basically need to plan this flight ourselves. So we are at ENSB, and we are going to ENSB. That's the plan. Anyway, we will return here, and the waypoint in question is no pole. That is effectively not allowed. Right. Okay. What do you mean not allowed? There'll be no. There we are. Where are we facing at the moment? Facing east. Let's go for a westerly departure. Lucid. It is 1400 miles. No idea what the flight number will be. I'm going to put HAS. Doesn't matter. Again, no idea what that is. MC, what have I just done? 10. Oops. Humanitarian services. 10. Oh no, let's go up to 38,000. 52, very nice. And let's get some. There's no information to bring across. But what we're going to do, let's have, I don't know, 10 passengers a little bit of cargo. So 0 fuel weight 43.5. It's only over 29.0. Fuel, I have no idea. Fuel, I don't know, let's put in, we're talking 1400 miles. I don't know. 10 tons. I've no idea. And I have no idea what the weather is.
Boarding completed.
SB. The wind is 108. So that's going to be a headwind. 8, I don't know. -8. Flight time 3.5 hours. Yeah. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Let's get a few things organised. The aim really is to fly to the North Pole, not so much fly back to the airport here, but I don't know if I've got 3.5 hours really I can spare, but we'll see how we get on. So we're still fueling, so that's okay. I haven't put any air traffic on. I'm not really expecting much up that way anyways. Let me know, do you fly the United Nations airplanes in the simulator? In fact, I think this is the first time I've flown the UN HAS plane, but it's very good. As I say, no air traffic control today. If you had seen my video on Pro ATC, then you would know there's going to be more hassle than it's worth. So we're just going to basically just guide ourselves around and see how we get on. So that, can I add that to add it to route? That's large. And then we're going to new pole. Add to waypoint. Add to route after counter was added. This is going to be very weird to do. The map doesn't even go up that high. And then we're going back to ENSB. And to route destination. I mean, the plan really is we'll fly IFR. We're doing a runway 28 departure. Everything's going south, but 27. There are some. Oh, we could. Okay, we'll do the go low departure. That's not actually on my So that's not actually on the McDo. So it's SB 420. And then it's Golol. I can't see this, but I'm inputting it into the McDo now, so it will give me some sort of region at least. That's fine. And I'll just head north from there. So, let's see what happens. Still got another 4 tons of fuel to put on, and it's going to take a few minutes. So I don't know if we can. It's wet. The wind did have. Oops, we're looking at 108. Again. Temperature is 7. QNH 988. Takeoff weight I'll get in a second. Get that from fourth, so it's going to be 53540. 53540. Beyond takeoff weight maximum 825 something. How was that? What am I not doing? Beyond take maximum max? Be putting the anti-ice on, I would say. Takeoff weight beyond takeoff weight limit 53540. No, because the zero fuel weight is 43540. 10 tons of fuel gives me 53540. Try the other way. 8 knots isn't really doing that too much of a difference, to be honest. What did I say I want to use? 2.8. Ooh. To be honest, I don't know. And I can't. Okay, for up 2, I'm happy with that. I don't know, to be honest, because it's giving me that we're overweight, and I don't think we are. And they've changed this, so you can't just do what you used to do. So I'm just going to guess, which you should never do in aviation. But we need to put something in there, so that will have to do. That will have to do. Nearly there with the fueling, so that's good news. And I'm just going to basically set us for 30. What did I say? 8? Yeah, 38,000. Let's go climb straight up there. Really? We're not using air traffic control. And we'll just see how we get on. So here we go. Welcome on board the North Pole United Nations Humanitarian Air Service. Yeah. Unfortunately, the weather's not great. It's probably, yeah, it's not great at all, is it? So even when we get to the North Pole, we're not going to see anything. So, but the point is, we hopefully will have been there, and hopefully in about an hour or so, we'll be able to say that we have been there. So, welcome on board. Good to have you along for the ride. Here we go.
Flight attendants, please prepare to take off.
Okay, here we go. runway is not smooth in any sense of the word. What? Nice long runway there. Four on front two, I think. Having a lot of weight on board gives us a very, very quick departure, quick takeoff. Starting to break through the clouds, 4,500 feet. A little bit off course a little bit. Way over speed, I'm not quite sure. So we can activate the autopilot. Take us the rest of the way. I'm used to everything being pre-programmed by the computer, which when you do a a Simbury flight plan, everything is just pre-programmed for you. Your speeds and your altitudes and everything. Haven't really thought about that, so never mind. 10,000 feet already. Excellent. Lights off. Clouds and I get look at the speed of that. Just enjoy that for a moment. Look at that. Just shooting away like a rocket. Again, photograph. That's brilliant. So cool. Right. Presumably then, once we get past Golol, the next waypoint is no pole, so we'll know roughly what time we're going to get there and how long it's going to take. So, let's see what happens. First, let's turn these off. And then we'll work out some speed. So, it's saying 689 miles, 1434. It's now 1334? 12:30 was 2 hours. Two hours up there, 600. Yeah, I suppose that would be about right. So, it's about 4:30 local time. Quite interesting because you're seeing the outbound track and you're seeing the return track as well, a few miles to our right. So listen, folks, I'm not going to force anybody to sit here for the next 2 hours and watch this flight progress. So we're going to sign off. We'll come back shortly for you, in a couple of hours for me, when we get a little bit nearer to the North Pole, and we will find out whether or not we can actually fly over the North Pole on the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we'll see you shortly. So we've got about 1,500 feet to go before we reach our cruising altitude of 38,000 feet, and it's taken 13 minutes to get here, which I think has probably been the quickest time I've ever had to get up to cruise altitude, particularly this high. 10 passengers doesn't really weigh much, but no, it's good that we are 38,000, so we can maximise the amount of time we're at a cruise altitude, maximise our high speed, maximise the minimal fuel flow. It's good. 38,000. In fact, I wonder what they're giving me as a optimum is 395. I wonder if we get up to 395. Maybe we will a bit later, let's see. But 38 for now. Funny what I was saying about traffic earlier. There is another plane on its way heading south, 3,500 feet, I think. Yeah, 3,400 feet above us. Wow, 41,000 feet. Must be a A350 or something. But there he is on our left-hand side. Still about 20 miles away, but. Brilliant. This is what I like about the realism of Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know, there's a lot of things I spoke about in the last video about Pro OTC, about how it's not a brilliant program, but the sim itself, you know, I don't think we could ask for something better than that. I mean, I think what we have is amazing, and I've seen the trailers for 2024, and you know, that's great. All what Microsoft are producing and their partner companies is absolutely fantastic. And you know, I'm going to reflect in another video coming very, very soon about my decision to give up Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I just want to recognise that this is a superb game. It's not a game; it's a simulator, even though it is a game by default, but you know what I mean. It's just, it takes it beyond the gaming experience to a highly enjoyable simming experience, and I think that's what makes it so popular. The idea that you can be as realistic or as creative or as silly as you want to be in it. You know, and that's the brilliant diversity of what we have in front of us. Speaking of what's in front of us, we've knocked half an hour off the journey time. So North Pole 14:03, which is 1 hour 10.5 minutes away. So stay tuned, we're getting closer. So just while we're making our way to the North Pole, we're actually going to, if we were on Pro ATC, would soon be crossing from Oceanic Control into Nook Control. But we're not doing that today. So anyway, as we're making our way up to the North Pole, let me know, what's the longest flight you have done on Microsoft Flight Simulator? What is the longest flight you have done on Microsoft Flight Simulator? Do you embark on these 8, 9, 10 hour transatlantic crossings in the 747 or the A321 LRs maybe, or even the A330 800, 900 that you can get? What's the longest journey you've ever done? Perhaps in all the simulators that you have owned over the years, what has been the longest journey you've made? For me, the longest flight I can remember making, or certainly one of them, was an Austrian Airlines Boeing 767. This was in FSX. Vienna to Dubai. I think it was a Friday night in 2010, I think it would have been. That was about 6.5, 7 hours, something like that. I also did a Qantas A330 from Singapore to Melbourne, again overnight, although I think that was simulated overnight, but I did it actually during the day. That was on the Black Box simulator product, which I actually liked their product. Did have an issue with the ILS sometimes. Certainly had issues with the INAV approaches, but generally, as from what I can remember, as a product, I liked them. I also like the F-Flight series from Just Flight, the Just Flight F-Flight series that they used to do, the very basic A319, A320s, which I think you bought about 4 or 5 of them for £20 or £15. You know, I think that was a very, very good deal. Again, FSX. So Vienna, Dubai, Singapore, Melbourne. I think I did Boston to Dublin once, but I don't recall too much of that journey. I did try to do Washington DC to Heathrow once overnight on Virgin Atlantic A340. Again, I think that was Black Box Simulations, and I put in a thunderstorm, and the computer just couldn't cope with the thunderstorm, it being night and it being an American airport with a lot more high density traffic. So that soon crashed the desktop after about 5 or 10 minutes, so we gave up on that one. But that would have been a very long flight. So what's the longest flight you've done in the simulator? What's the longest flight you've done in real life? Let us know in the comments below the longest flight you've done in real life. Which airline, which aircraft? Was it a good route? Did you enjoy it? My longest, I think, Dubai, Melbourne, the Qantas A380 back in 2014. This was at the time when Qantas were partnering with Emirates and were operating their London to Australia flights via Dubai. And this was sort of the beginning of March 2014. And we were about an hour and a half late arriving into Dubai from Heathrow because of the fog. There was a backlog, so we were about an hour late leaving Dubai. Left 7 passengers behind because they didn't make it to the plane or whatever. So we got into Melbourne about an hour late, and there was hardly anybody on the plane. It was great. We could spread out a little bit, so that was really nice. So that was, as I say, 10.5 years ago. But what's your longest flight that you've done? And would you replicate that on Microsoft Flight Simulator? If you could. Would you sit at your screen for 13 or 14 hours? Not recommended, mind, but would you, in theory, replicate that journey on Microsoft Flight Simulator? Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, let me know your experiences as we continue to make our way to the North Pole. About 1 hour, I think. 1 hour remaining on this very exciting journey. To be fair, I don't actually know what's going to happen when we get there. I haven't really thought about that. You know, it's a bit like when Neil Armstrong went to the moon. Nobody really thought about what he was going to say. He just kind of thought of these famous words when he got there. I've never really actually thought about what I'm going to do when I get to the North Pole in an hour's time. So I've got a bit of time to think about that. do we just continue with the flight, turn around back to the airport, or do I just disregard the flight, descend down, and do a low pass over the pole? What would you do? What would you do if you were in this situation, heading to the North Pole in the flight simulator? What would you do? Bearing in mind the cloud layer is pretty high. I don't know how low the clouds go, but we'll see. I might be able to look up on the map actually. Would you do a fly past? Would you maybe land? See if you can land on the snow? What would you do? Let me know. In the meantime, I'll try and work out what I'm going to do in 59 minutes time. So, the North Pole, also known as the geographic North Pole, terrestrial North Pole, or 90th parallel north, is the point in the northern hemisphere where the Earth's axis of rotation meets its surface. It is called the true North Pole to distinguish from the magnetic North Pole. This is where it all gets very scientific and very complicated for my brain. If you understand it more, please leave a comment. So the magnetic North Pole is a point on the surface of the Earth's northern hemisphere at which the planet's magnetic field points vertically downward. There's only one location where this occurs, near the geographic North Pole. I'm still confused. It defies geodetic latitude 90 degrees north as well as direction of true north. At the North Pole, all directions point south. All lines of longitude converge there, so its longitude can be defined as any degree value. No time zone has been assigned to the North Pole, so any time can be used as the local time. That's interesting. It's interesting. I didn't realise there was no time zone in the North Pole. That's interesting. And yes, I'm just reading this from Wikipedia. Whilst the South Pole lies on a continental landmass, the North Pole is located in the middle of the Arctic Ocean, amid waters that are almost permanently covered with constantly shifting sea ice. That's an interesting point, because about my intentions when we get to the North Pole, is the ice on the ground going to be hard enough or strong enough to land 40 tons of aeroplane? I've absolutely no idea. I really don't know. We've got about 40 minutes to go. I have no idea if the ground is going to be suitable to land, or even smooth enough. I don't know. See what we now. Obviously, there are planes that land near the North Pole, from what I understand. Certainly, the South Pole I know has a couple of airstrips nearby, but the North Pole, I have no idea. I don't know. Do we land? Do we just fly over it? One thing I think I'm going to definitely do, when we're about 100 miles away, probably quite high, maybe when we're about 150 miles away, I'm going to descend, maybe get down to about 5,000 feet or something like that, and just see. I think that's what I'll do. And I don't know, I might land, see what happens. You know what, that's the joy of the flight simulator. You can be as creative and as imaginative as you want, and it's okay. It doesn't matter in real life. It's not going to make any difference to anything in real life other than my own enjoyment and my own fun, and perhaps a little bit of entertainment for you watching this video along the way. So that's probably what we'll do. We'll probably descend down in about 150 miles time, which will be about 20 minutes or so, and we'll see what happens after that. I've just switched back to the McDo on my laptop, partly because the reference arrow disappeared on the Navigraph chart. So we'll look at the McDo for the next little bit. 172 nautical miles to the North Pole. What do we think? Plan is we're in heading mode. It's changed. I was out the room for a bit, so some things have happened while I've disappeared. About 170 miles. So what I'm going to do in about 20 miles, I'm just going to descend the aeroplane. We're flying in heading mode anyway, so in theory it shouldn't actually, when we get to the North Pole, shouldn't actually turn us back towards Longyear. So what I'm going to do is start descending very shortly towards the North Pole, and just see what the situation is when we get a little bit nearer to the ground. We'll kind of see what happens, I guess. Let's have a little look out the window. Yeah. I guess this is sort of, a 6 month of the year route. You can't sort of do this in December or January because it would just be dark all year round. But we have the daylight today, whatever time of day it is on the North Pole, which there isn't one. So yeah. Anyway, let's start descending. Let's just go down to actually 17,000. We can just work our way down from there and see what happens. Interesting enough, what's the cabin altitude? 7,800 feet. So we're going to descend down towards the North Pole. So far, we looks like we're on track to successfully complete today's mission, which is to fly up to the North Pole. There's the other aircraft there, and as I say, what will happen when we get there, time will tell. But we are definitely going to descend down to about 5,000 feet anyway, and we'll see if we can land within the Arctic Circle. No guarantee it's definitely going to be the North Pole, but we'll get to as close to it as we can, assuming the terrain is going to accommodate the aeroplane. That's the next challenge. What's interesting is that we're descending, we've still got 720 miles to run back to our destination. I almost wish I could fly all the way back to Longyear, I'm just not going to be able to afford that time today. That's just one of those things. But that's unfortunate. As I say, we are on track to be achieving the mission, which is going to the North Pole. It's a place that I will probably never get to in real life. So this is as close as I'm going to get to the North Pole. Have you been to the North Pole? Have you been over the North Pole in real life or on the simulator? Please let me know below in the comments. And share your experience with me and the wider YouTube community. Just over 100 miles to go. Got 15 minutes, I'm predicting. A descent rate of 2,000 feet a minute. Theoretically, we descend 30,000 feet. We only need to descend 15. We're going to wait a few minutes, or even just do a 1,000 feet a minute descend, actually. We'll wait a couple of minutes and then continue our descent down. As I say, the plan will level off at 5,000, maybe a bit lower than that actually. See what the weather's like below the clouds, and just assess the situation. You know, that's all we can do. It's not like you can go here before coming here, so get the fun out of it. We are moments away, folks, from landing, or at least flying over the North Pole. North becomes south, south becomes south, east becomes south, west becomes south, and time doesn't exist. It's fascinating when you think about it, you know, creation and the makeup of it, whatever your own personal thinking is of how all that came into being. It's still, you know, that's your personal thinking and experience. But whatever way you look at it, it is still fascinating and amazing that the world functions and space functions in such a marvelous and a majestic way. And we're a part of that. We're a part of life, we're a part of creation, we're a part of existence, we're a part of history. And we should never underestimate what that means for us or our friends and family. Of course, the other option, it could just be water. Can I do that? Can the North Pole just be water? I don't know. Pretty much I was listening in signs, but I was over 20 years ago, so. Anyway, I am going to prepare the cabin for something. And by prepare, I mean turn the seatbelts on. People should stop using their phones and computers. And we will, as I say, see what happens when we get a little bit nearer. Let's put this out. 2,000 feet. What did you do on those long flight simulator flights? Those 8 or 9 hour flights that you've done on the sim. What did you physically do during that time? You surely just didn't just sit there. I read a blog once, or certainly a comment that what this particular person did, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago, under FSX, what they did was just have a pile of CDs. As it was back then, possibly even more than 5 years ago. Maybe 15 years ago, they had a pile of CDs. That was what they did. They just listened to this to music. I suppose if your average CDs could be an hour long, then you get through 6 or 7 CDs. Fair enough. What did you do on those long flights? Even sometimes the short flights, the 2-3 hour flights, European hops, European hops. They come with their moments of boredom, even in real life. Actually, to be fair, what do you do during those times, or do you just stick to sort of 1 hour Irish Sea crossings or North America connections or something like that? Or are you an ocean crosser? Do you do transatlantic, transpacific? Let me know. Share your experience. Now I've got my range on 40 miles. I'm not going to go about 60 miles away. 10 minutes. I don't really want to go any lower just yet. Not be too low too soon, and we're already burning 2 tons of fuel an hour. Not too worried about the fuel. But the reality is that we are nearly there, and that's what is really important in this particular moment. I'm intrigued just to see what's actually going to happen to the navigation display, all these things. It's just really interesting. It's just really interesting. I almost wish I had a scientist here with me that could sort of talk through the process of what's happening. In terms of navigation, magnetic headings, true headings, all of that, 49 miles. I mean, the aeroplane is doing a little turn to the left. To keep us with this heading. Which is, let's have a look here, what's happening. Looks like we're on a true heading, which is about 011. North Pole's true heading 360. I mean, that's a heading 346. I don't really understand what that means, if I'm honest. So, we're just going to keep flying. And hopefully, in about just over 8 minutes, something will happen. Now, this is stuttering. This is just the game. And it's horrible. And it always happens when you're on a final approach somewhere. And another thing you can do anything about it, because if you take control, the plane will just go wild. You just have to let it run its course and be patient for a few seconds before it eventually just stops. But it is annoying, trust me. I'm not going to start a descent while this is happening. No way. No way. Well, I assume it's swimming rather than wind. Wind's only 10 knots, I mean it is variable, but it sort of goes wild for a few seconds and it will just ease. I do need to start descending a little bit more now. And I'm not going to be able to do that, so we may just have to overshoot and come back. Okay, let's see if we can get down to 5,000 feet. It makes you feel sick just looking at it, doesn't it? Is this meant to happen? I didn't recognise my auto descent, open descent, so. Let's try again. There we go. Yeah, that's better. That stopped it. Yeah, good. Still, very good. I think we're not going to be able to land because it is definitely water below us. It's very interesting. I wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest. I thought it was like always icy up here. I suppose I should put the landing lights on. I suppose we are, well, not landing obviously, but we're going to have a look at our performance and descent. I'll just have to do manual speed. I'm going to slow us down. 250 is fine. Again, we're just doing our own thing, really. Another reason not to use ATC, because you know it'd have been shouting at me 100 times to descend back to 370 or 380, and we want to be down not lower than that. So it's just to do your own thing. So the North Pole, according to this, is just over 20 miles leftish. We'll see how we get on, shall we? Okay, 5,000 feet. Well, there is ice. There is ice. Outside temperature. Interior temperature is -13. I think if we go down to 3,000, reduce speed. And down to 200 knots. (3,000 feet). problem is if everything becomes south, does our heading just change automatically, or what does that mean? I don't know. I think what we're going to do, we're going to attempt a landing. I don't really know what just happened. I'm going to turn left. I've asked for 344, but I don't really know what happens. 3,001 to go. Okay, so that's a little bit too far right. Not too far left, so it was just. That's okay. So a little bit too far. So, I mean, getting the exact location is going to be fun. 7 miles. You know, we are too high really to be landing at that, and we're certainly too fast. So let's, because we're not landing on a runway, I can't set anything into the computer. So it is literally just doing everything manually. I was working with a game that keeps stuttering. So I mean, I might just take control, actually. That might be just the easiest thing. So I'm going to lower the gear because we're getting quite low to the ground now. So, and it's stuttering. I'm going to take a screenshot. That comes up every time. Full flat. I think we're just going to pretty much crash. Go back, go back. So 2,100 feet above. We are actually passing the North Pole in about 0.9 miles. We're drifting to the right. There is still north. We are now at the North Pole. This is the North Pole, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't think I don't think the game likes it very much because everything's just turned south. Because we're unable to land. The game is stuttering quite severely. I don't even know if I can I don't think there's a way that I can even $1,500. $1,600. I don't. Because there's no reference point, we're just going down. Now we're still 1,100 feet, which is quite a high altitude in this particular instance. I know I haven't on the spoilers. Don't worry about that. I'm just gonna see if we can get it down 500 feet.
400. $260. $50, $40, $20, $5.
Sort of max break in there, so we got nice high break temperature. That's good. Okay, so this is going to be very difficult to try and work out where we are and whether or not. So we're about 5 miles from the pole, which is this direction. As I make it out, 51 knots. That's the fastest taxi you'll ever be on. No, that's, hang on a minute. Yeah, no pole, 5 miles. So let's just keep going in this direction. And cabin view. This is actually insane. Four miles, 4.7 miles. Hoping we get there soon. I mean, we are driving on ice, so it's a little bit slippery. Four miles. I mean, talk about isolation. I don't know what's there in real life. I imagine there's some sort of Arctic science lab establishment. You know, somebody has put in some form of research facility, but in the simulator, we don't have any of that. It is literally just the ice and the plane. We are 1.5 miles away. I'm so glad we've made it. Do you know what I mean? It's such an achievement. I know it's silly. We've only flown for 2 hours or thereabouts, but actually, it's just one of those things that you can do in the simulator that you certainly couldn't do at this level in real life. And I got the idea. I remember watching a Flight Radar 24 cockpit video, and they flew, I don't know, whatever it was, 16 miles or something from the North Pole. And I remember seeing it on their map, and I thought, oh, I won't even get there on the sim. And here we are. We have arrived. So we're just about to arrive. 1 mile to go. I mean, of course, I don't really know. As I say, I guess there is a specific point, but what the radius of that point is, I don't actually know. I mean, I don't know. So we're just gonna go see if all the navigation turns south again. See if the 0.8, which I think is on now, turns to something else. Of course, we are on ice, and that's going to take a little bit longer to stop as well. So we want to make sure that we're slow enough to stop in time, as close to this as we can. Yeah, there is an element of excitement about this. This is what I think, this is what the flight sim is all about. It's about doing these unusual things. Yes, it's about recreating reality in your own world. Flying the routes that you've flown on 100 times, flying the airlines you wish you could fly in real life, doing the job you wish you could do. Or even just doing VFR over the coastline of gorgeous beach islands or something. But it's also about doing these things which, are a huge achievement for humanity, coming to the North Pole. Why not? Why not? Just over 1/2 mile. I think the aeroplane is just skidding, to be honest. I think we're just sort of going just wherever the ice is taking us. I mean, I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to just regroup a minute. We're 0.4. But also we're heading back. The plane was just skidding. I don't know if I can. Yeah, we're just sort of moving on our own now. Because of the ice, which we're just skidding all over the place. I mean, I don't suppose there's a flag or anything that sort of recognises the spot itself. I don't know. There's not here anyway. If I turn left, is that going to? help me in any way? Yes? No? Maybe? 0.3. It's just fun, isn't it? Not 0.2. So we're doing something right. The compass is starting to realign itself. 0.1. Ooh, getting nervous now. But even when we get there, if we stop, we're just going to start skidding again. So yes! Parking brake. Screenshot. A screenshot. That looks like the North Pole. But we're still heading north, so what does that mean then? If we start moving, which we're doing now, oh, hello. Oh dear. Well, I guess that answers that. We're now heading south, but this is not a good end to what has been a very good journey up to the North Pole. Thanks so much for coming along. Hope you've enjoyed the ride. As I say, leave some comments, subscribe, like the video, all of that stuff, and I guess this is sometimes how it ends, isn't it? But thanks again for watching. Bye for now.